Alright guys, how are you? Now we're going to go ahead and continue with the writing an equation in slope-intercept form. So what we're going to do is we're going to write an equation of a line that passes through each pair of points. Now these are the 2 points that it passes through. So keep in mind, writing an equation of a line that passes through each pair of points. So the first one is -1, 12. The second point is 4, -8. Now the first thing I want you guys to do is to write down our values. Now these are what we're going to be looking for. Alright, so let's call this x1, let's call this y1. The second thing I want you to do is to label the 2 points. So this would be x1, y1, x2, y2. Now that we labeled it, let's go ahead and write what we have. The information that we have for x1 is -1, and we also have y1, which is 12. Alright, so now we have, what we need is slope and the y-intercept. So M means slope, B means the y-intercept. So our very first step is that we're going to find slope. Now that kind of set up the problem, let's go ahead and find slope. We're going to use this formula. The formula is M, which is slope, is equal to y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. We're going to go ahead and replace each of them, which is right here. See, since we labeled them, we know where to put each of the numbers. So all we have to do is just plug it in. y2 is -8. y1 is 12, so -12. x2, which is 4, minus x1, which is -1. If you notice, we have 2 negatives that are by each other. That's why I put the parentheses so that I could separate them. But in the middle, there's 2 negatives. So in order for us to be able to simplify this, what this means, if we have 2 negatives here, and we're just going to go ahead and put it in the bottom, it's 4 plus 1. That's what these 2 negatives are going to mean. So if they're side by side each other, negative times negative would make it a positive. So 4 plus 1, and on the top we still have -8 and -12. Let's go ahead and simplify this. -8 minus 12 is, what we're going to do is add the numbers, so 8 plus 12, which is 20, and because they're both negative, this is going to be -20. On the bottom it will be 4 plus 1, which is 5. Let's go ahead and reduce this, and we can reduce this by 5. Not -5, it's just 5. -20 divided by 5 would be -4. -5 divided by not -5, but 5 divided by 5 would be 1. -4 divided by 1 would be -4. And what we have now is slope. Slope is -4. That's what we were looking for, step 1. We're done with step 1. Now let's go ahead and look at step 2. So step 2. We're going to find the y-intercept. And remember, y-intercept is B. And I did not say that, I did not stress it with step 1, slope is M. So the y-intercept is B. So we're going to find the y-intercept. And we're going to find it by plugging in X, Y, and M. So these are the 3 letters that we're going to plug in. And we're going to plug this into y equals mx plus b. Alright, so this is the formula we're going to plug it in. So let's go ahead and do that. Y, as we know from our problem that we have already written down, y is 12. So we're going to go ahead and plug it into this, which is 12, equals m. Let's look again. Remember, we just found m, which is -4, times x. We notice that it is -1, if we've written it down, plus b. B is what we're looking for. Alright, so now that we have this term, we're going to simplify this by -4 times -1, which is +4. I'm going to simplify it a little bit. +4 plus b, and on this side is 12. Alright, so remember, negative times negative is positive. If you want, you can separate both sides of the equal sign so that we do not get confused in which side to do what. We're going to go ahead and get rid of the 4, and we get rid of the 4 to get b by itself by subtracting 4. The opposite of +4. Alright, we're going to subtract 4 to both sides of the equation. Now, these two cancel. I'm bringing the b down, and this is going to set equal to 12 minus 4, which is 8. So now we know that our y-intercept is 8. So I'm going to put it back into the numbers. Now we have 8 as our y-intercept. So step number 3, we're only going to use these two for step number 3. Alright, so let's go ahead and do that for step number 3. I'm just going to go right back to step number 2 so you can see it a little bit. When we find it, we plug in the numbers. We had -4 times -1, which equals to +4 plus b. We subtracted -4, or subtracted 4 to both sides, and then we have b is equal to 8. Alright, so let's go ahead and do step number 3. Step number 3 is to write the equation. By plugging in now we're only plugging in m and b. So those are the two letters we're plugging in. And we're going to plug them into y equals mx plus b. So let's go ahead and do that. Y, we keep it the same. It's just y equals, we're going to plug in m. And remember, m is -4 times x. Alright, and b is +8. And there you have it. Y equals mx plus b. Y equals -4x plus 8. Now I'm going to give you an example problem, see if you can do it on your own. So here's an example problem that you guys can do. -3 and -4. And we have -2 and -8. So try this problem out. Go ahead and pause the video. And when you are done, you can go ahead and unpause the video and see if you got the answer right. So pause the video now. Okay, welcome back. Let's see if you got the answer right. First of all, we're going to find out each of these terms. Alright, so remember, this is x1, y1. We're going to use the first point. Now we can use the second point if you wanted to. We can use the second point if we wanted to. It will work for either point. So I could have put x2 and y2 if we wanted to. But for this video purpose, we're just going to use the first point. Let's go ahead and label what we have. We have x1, y1, x2, y2. Now, after we label it, let's go ahead and find slope. Remember, finding slope, we're using m equals y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. We're going to plug it in. So y2 is -8 minus y1, which is -4, over x2, which is -2, minus x1, which is -3. So we got two negatives inside the middle, or minus in the middle. So this means it's -8 plus 4 over negative 2 plus 3. And we can simplify this more. Negative 8 plus 4 will be negative 4 over 1. And negative 4 over 1 is just negative 4. So m is equal to negative 4. I didn't put these values in. My mistake. Let's go ahead and put those values in. We have negative 3 for x and negative 4 for y. So now we have three values. We just figured out what n is, and we're going to go ahead and figure out what b is. Remember, we're going to plug all three of these values into the equation. So this is the equation we're going to plug it into. So let's go ahead and do that. Negative 4 equals m, which is also negative 4, times x, which is negative 3, plus b. Multiply these two together, we have positive 12. Remember, negative times negative is positive, plus 3. And we have negative 4 here. In order for us to get the b by itself, we've got to subtract 12 to both sides. Alright, and what we have here, this cancels, which leaves me with b. Let me pull it up, sorry. Which leaves me with b. And on this side is negative 4 minus 12. Remember, they both have the same sign, so we add the numbers. This becomes 16 and keep the sign. So that means b is negative 16. The last thing we're going to do is we're only going to plug in m and b. So this and this is what we're only plugging in. So y is equal to negative 4x minus 16. And there you have it. Hopefully you got the right answer. If you did, congratulations. Good job. And that is all for the video.